Beloveds. Yum. Yum, 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 yum. Hello, hello, hello. Still working on a greeting that feels alignment with my soul. I kind of just want to go, welcome into this space. Language, communication. We require it and yet we desire to transcend it. As I welcome some individuals into this space to receive, I am wanting to speak directly on the energetic blueprint. And the reason for this specific expression is in relation to the education around it and as to why it can be used as a beautiful tool of evolution, and yet to also recognize where we limit ourselves and we box ourselves in. So there are a lot of different modalities that people use: gene keys, human design, star signs, all of these different modalities or constructs to make sense of the self and the personality. And yet they are all modules that have some resonance, and I know that they have been helpful for me to confirm what I have already come to intuitively understand about myself. Yet they do not necessarily tell you the direct information of exactly what is in your energetic blueprint. So all of these modalities have energies and personality types and pieces that go into what is your unique energetic blueprint. But the only way to find that out would be to tune into the consciousness of your own unique energetic blueprint, or to have someone guide you through that process. So the energetic blueprint is, if you can imagine, it is like having a contract or an agreement. It's a computer, we'll call it a computer board. It's a computer board that has your life's purpose. It also has your 12 archetypes. It has your personality challenges or the certain personality traits that you have chosen. It will have the agreements and the contracts that you have placed in your computer game, the program. And it will also have different challenges. So it has different belief systems put in place as well, so that you can create the foolproof plan to your incarnation in this lifetime. So each individual creates their own energy blueprint, and their energy blueprint is there to ensure that a mission is complete, that the life purpose is fulfilled, that karma is turned to dharma, and that we have exactly the right challenges to help us with our evolution as an individual being. And these are beautiful gifts to be come into the earth with. They are beautiful ways to ensure you get to a specific point within your path. And with the use of them and activating of them, you can evolve and you can speed up your process. So with all self-awareness, this is what happens, right? If you have the ability to be self-aware, you have the ability to become the witness, and the more that you become the witness, the more that the witnesser dissolves, because you become more present in your state of being. And the beautiful thing about the energetic blueprint is that it's not designed to stay intact. It's supposed to be transcended. We are supposed to gather the information, use it as a tool, learn from it, remember from it, activate it, but then we're supposed to transcend it. We are at a point in our evolution where we can witness these things and choose to notice why they were put in place, and why we made certain agreements, or why we put specific challenges in our blueprint. So for instance, there's a whole health, right? We choose this vessel for a reason. We didn't choose this vessel by accident. And this vessel holds the genetics, the ancestral coding. It holds a specific constitution that holds your energetic vibration and your frequency. So this vessel that you've chosen may also have different agreed upon health concerns, and you may have decided to come in with, say, challenges with autoimmune or digestive problems, or different dis-ease in the body, in the vessels, so that you can see what the programs, the beliefs, and the narrative is in the karma, so that you can look at it and you can transmute it into a purification of a higher resonance of self. And so when we look at, say, health, for instance, you may have contracted yourself to getting cancer. You may have contracted yourself to have specific pivotal moments in life that are there as an awakener. They're there as a opportunity. Okay, everything in the energetic blueprint is gifted. It's a gift. Whether you see it in a positive or a negative poled lens, there is no division. It is just a base of information. It's just information that's here to understand the self in this incarnation, so that you can release these agreements. So say you come in contact with understanding or receiving an energy blueprint reading, or you have been gifted the information. Maybe you know, because many of you, if you look back, you'll know certain things about your life even as a child. You'll know that you were going to have so many kids, or you knew that you'd live in a certain place, or you knew that you would have this specific relationship, or maybe you knew that you were going to lose a sibling, or you were going to lose a child, right? These things are pivotal moments that are placed in the agreement. They're agreements between two souls, so that this point breaks open the energetics, so that they can be looked at, witnessed, and transmuted, and observed from a place of wholeness. And with the awareness of where we're at in our evolution, we are at a point where we no longer have to choose to learn through these contracted agreements. So if you have an energy blueprint and you've contracted yourself to all these different points upon your journey so that you can evolve and remember who you are, you're at a point now that if you're given this information, it's now choice. It's a point in time where the consciousness has shifted so much on the earth that it's easier to just become the witness of this. Okay, so I've contracted myself to have a specific illness that comes up when I'm in my 30s. And well, do I actually want to continue this trajectory to play that out? Or am I going to sit with my inner being now and look at, why would I choose to contract myself with this agreement? What has it got to offer me? What is it sharing with me? What past life karmas are there? What future attachments do I have? How am I not meeting my soul's purpose? What is it that I have decided is true and real that I don't believe that I can transcend past? And look at these different possible outcomes and know that you are sovereign in your experience, and that if you have a future perception of something, that it's still individual choice. So as we understand these energy blueprints, yes, you have come here, and all of you will have some idea of what you came into Earth with, certain personality types, that you came here with a certain vibration of frequency that you express to the world, whether it has been through an unconscious expression or a more conscious expression, yet that is what you have chosen. So this is where you can start to look at the archetypes that are sitting within your energy blueprint to show you, how many of my archetypes are active? Am I in all of my active 12 archetypes, or am I sitting unconsciously in 3 or 4 of them, and I'm still sitting in the shadow aspects that I haven't actually returned the gift? Because in all of this information, whether you start to understand your blueprint and you start to pull it from these different modalities like gene keys or human design or star signs, which you can start to build your own energy blueprint that way through externally seeking resonance and information information, or you can start to develop an inner connection with yourself. And if you have the ability to meditate or to channel, or any ability to connect into your heart and ask questions and receive guidance from source, you can start to cultivate through journaling practices, what is my energy blueprint? And sit there and be guided into, what is this, and why did I create this plan for my life? What about this plan for my life can I see now and choose to quantum leap or evolve past in the now? What parts of my personality have I put in place? So to give some understanding and reference, one of the things that I put in place for my personality type is I have the wound I've transcended past, thank goodness. I had the wounded child archetype, and the wounded child created a lot of experiences to have that archetype, yet it was my default. So when something would happen in my life, I would flick straight into this wounded child, as this was the aspect that helped me to move through challenges until it no longer did. It's like the wounded child allowed me to feel enough victimization to get attention and sympathy and care and love that I was unable to consciously choose or ask for, as my needs were being identified. And that archetype no longer became a helpful archetype to use as a part of my personality. And so that identity actually becomes deconstructed, and it transmutes, and it's something that is released, so that more pure essence can be felt, more source connection. Our energy blueprint really is the identity that's being created to live through, so that then as we slowly remember it and have self-awareness about it, we can transmute or deconstruct it and recreate ourselves in alignment with our essence, our spirit essence in physical form. And all it is a plan to get us to that point of evolution. It's a foolproof plan to say, okay, if I choose this experience, then this experience is going to mirror back this part of myself, so I can see this part of myself because I haven't been able to see it, and then I can return it to love. And they are beautiful and amazing, yet they're also limiting. So if you're on a path to wanting to come into your fullest source connection, if you're coming into a place of self-realization, if you're wanting to transcend mind and meet a level of enlightenment, then these structures and these identities of modalities and information of who am I actually limit you to who you are, because they're not purified versions of who you are. They are still something that you're latching onto to explain who I am and why I do the things I do, rather than what if I was able to see that this is why I'm choosing to be who I am, and to witness what is there in its fullness, so that I can love it in wholeness and let it go. And what I mean by this is, so in what I would call my star sign being a Taurus as the main sun sign, is I have been projected that I'm quite stubborn. Now, there is a level of stubbornness that would have played out in my unconscious behavior, and yet when we look at stubborn, we don't realize how powerful that energy is in its integrated state, because it's a determination, it's relentless, it's a level of devotion that comes through. That means that the individual has chosen an energetic signature. So being stubborn as the Taurian energy is now purified and transmuted, and I can choose instead, consciously choose to just be in devotion. It's no longer coming from a need to continue to move through. So these personality traits and these different pieces, it's like I chose the unconscious shadow aspect of being stubborn so that I did not give up. So I was able to move through my human trauma, and so that I was able to continue to get up, keep going, you're not giving up, and to keep pushing through no matter what. I would never, it was like that level of stubbornness was what created this relentless keep going, you're not going to give up, until I awoke into why I chose that. I chose to continue to move forward because in my inner being, in my knowing, this is my last incarnation on earth, and I have chosen to come into a place of self-realization so that I can assist in the evolution of the planet, and giving up is not an option. So the shadow aspect was stubborn, but now it's a choice. I'm choosing consciously to be in a devotional practice, to remember source and to come into alignment with truth, so that I can witness the parts and the aspects of myself that keep me in separation from that truth, so I can continue to choose a higher evolution and ascension. It is no different to being stubborn, it's just that the lens and the push and pull energy is different. And so the devotion comes from a place of purity. So when we look at our energy blueprints and all of these different contracts, you can choose to play out a contract, or you can see in a relationship, in a current situation that you're in, if you sit and you think about, who in my life am I playing out agreements and contracts with unconsciously, and take a moment to go, okay, who in my life do I have contracts and agreements to? And then sit with, what is it that we are contracted to? What is the agreement here? Do I actually want to play this oath, vow, promise, commitment out? Because when we look at them in truth, they are always limiting. They are not only limiting to the self, but they're limiting to the other person. Because instead of empowering the self to come into source connection, we believe that we need another individual, we need another experience to show us something about ourselves that we can't connect to within ourselves, which is a distortion of truth. Everything that you hold within you, you can activate just in the witness of it, and why you have chosen not to hold this either this frequency or this truth or this part of yourself. Now, in saying that, that is the awareness of someone who has come to a place where they believe that, or they've come into contact with that truth and they know that truth to be true, that they can sit and they can go, actually, I love this individual, but I'm not going to choose out to play this contract so that I learn self-love, or so that I receive these frequencies of Egyptian codes, or I'm not going to have sexual alchemy with this person because they're going to help me to find safety and protection and connectedness with my yoni. Instead, I'm going to choose to see that this is the distortion that's playing out, and I'm going to consciously witness that that's what they're gifting me, and I'm going to move through that process internally, which gives me empowerment, sovereignty, and a greater connection to source. So this idea of these blueprints are helpful until they're not. And they're helpful as you're remembering your purpose. They're helpful as you're starting to identify and witness maybe some of your self-destructive behaviors and personality types. And one of the other things that I feel is helpful in this explanation is that I have put in, being clarified, redirected in my communication. I had, as I no longer am choosing to run my life from my energy blueprint, because I've chosen to transcend that into a higher state of evolution, and to become self-realized, that this is not helpful for me anymore. And that attachment to that has been cleared and is slipping away, and the recalibration of my being is taking place. And so in that previous energetic blueprint, it has been helpful for me. It was helpful to find out that I had put a challenge in place, that the challenge that was in place was I would resist truth until I couldn't resist anymore. And so if you can imagine that on an internal level, that's a lot of cognitive dissonance. It's like when the truth is there, it's like, I'm going to resist it, I'm going to resist it, I'm going to resist it until surrender. And so it was like this point of resistance until it was, I completely let go and I am yours. And it's been a beautiful gift, yet also very, very uncomfortable in my internal experience, because instead of just choosing, I'm not going to resist the truth until I surrender completely, I'm going to choose to trust the truth so much that I will surrender to it. And it was helpful because it meant that I did go into a place of full surrender, and I have cultivated an ability of trust in surrender because I have challenged it and I have met it with resistance so many times until I've surrendered, and then miracles and expansion and evolution happens in such a way that my mind could not ever have perceived. And that is helpful until it's witnessed. Like if you have the cognitive and the ability and the inner standing to see these patterns about yourself, you don't have to continue to choose them. You just see that, yes, this was a helpful part for me whilst I didn't know how to trust in surrender, but now I do know how to trust in surrender. I'm no longer choosing the path of resistance, and I am going to release my attachment and my identity and the agreement or the contract or the belief system that I've put in place into my internal navigation system. So this blueprint or this hard drive literally is a hard drive. If you look at the energetic light body, there are parts of your light body that have been turned off. You've been rewired. You've rewired yourself. You've had infiltration into your being. Your energy blueprint may have additional information that's been put in by the anti-consciousness agenda. It may have had information subtracted from it. And so when we start to understand how to navigate our inner energetics and our true level of consciousness beyond human, beyond the vessel, beyond this physical, tangible experience, we are then able to understand that we are not our mind, we are not our body, and we are not our soul. We are far greater, and we are the Holy Spirit in a physical human experience, and that is transcendence. It's transcending all of those things that are in your energy blueprint, which is the mind or the personality traits, the body, the health, why you've chosen this vessel, what it's coded with, and the understanding that your vessel is your greatest commodity to understand consciousness, as it will guide you to read this information. Your body will show you how to translate and to transcribe higher levels of consciousness. It's not your brain that's the problem, it's your separate mind that was created. It's the identity. And you are able to use all of these beautiful things in alignment with what you truly desire, which is divine union with Source. And so as this becomes something that you're more aware of, you can start to cultivate self-awareness and choose in alignment with what divine connection would choose. Would you truly disempower yourself? If you were one with Source, if you were an infinite being, an all-knowing, unique expression of God, would you choose to play out specific contracts, specific agreements to tap into the infinite knowing which you already are? Or would you choose to activate that internally in your own inner being so that you know exactly what you have the capacity to connect into, and choose from there, so then you can choose to create the life experience that you actually desire? It's not chosen on this need or this distortion or this I need to find myself or I need to experience this or this will show me this. It's I'm willing to see and recognize these parts within myself and connect into divine union. So now I have this information, I have these codes, I have this realization, and I can choose to create the life that feels in resonance with my inner being and not the distortions of my ego or my personality or my blueprint contract. And that is all these contracts are. That is all a twin flame connection is. That is all a divine union connection is. It's a counterpart that you've chosen at some point to mirror exactly what you need to see about yourself to see yourself. But it doesn't mean you have to see yourself in that way. If you choose in this current energetic way of experiencing to access those points first and then create the divine connections that you want to create that are more fulfilling or sustainable, because there is no misinterpretations to what is actually at play. So if you're feeling in resonance to understanding the energetic blueprints a little bit more, or if you're wanting to release some of these attachments, there is going to be a transmission that I feel is going to be a free transmission. This is what's coming through. A free transmission on my main Facebook page tomorrow. I will drop in the comments what time, for the release of attachment to your energetic blueprint. It doesn't mean that it's going to dissolve and you're going to end up in the abyss and not knowing who you are, although this is what mind creates, right? Mind creates these stories of, if I release this, I won't be able to be this. If I release my attachment to my divine union, then I will never have a partnership and I'll be alone forever. This is the distortion of mind, whereas what is really true is that if you release these attachments, you release the attachment to your purpose, you release the attachment to your personality, you release your attachment to your divine energy blueprint, you can then use your blueprint, receive from your blueprint, and choose consciously to have sovereign expression in its purified version. Attachment is like threads of distortion. They're threads of mistruth. They've got little belief systems and little traumas and little things in there that are not clear. It's the illusion that continues to take place. So I will do a transmission on releasing the attachment to your energy blueprint, and also offer for anyone who feels called that would like to know their energy blueprint, and would like to connect into that and understand what you've programmed yourself to be this lifetime and use it for your advantage to transcend it. So to activate the parts of you that you have left in suppression or have disconnected from in your energy body, that you can turn and replug that in and rewire yourself, as well as knowing some of these agreements that are there so that they can actively be chosen in a place of self-awareness. Who does this? What is here in the distortion that needs to clear to line me up with that? And what is in the what is in the truth of this new energy, because we've just gone through a massive reconfiguration. So all of these energy blueprints have to recalibrate because they are based off a point in time that is not as evolved as now. So your blueprints are outdated, we'll say. They are, they need a hard drive cleanup, and they need like a, what do you call that, where you upgrade your system. We need to upgrade them because at the moment there is frequencies and vibrations that are sitting within your inner being based on these energetic blueprints and contracts that are not resonant to your now moment. And they are requiring to be released. They are requiring to shift so that you can line up with what divine source desires for you with your mission. Your mission no longer looks as though it did, because everything has shifted and changed, and there has been a massive evolution in the octave and the frequency of what's available, and so your mission will look different. And there's nothing wrong with it. It just means that it's purified, it's cleansed, it's clarified, it's come into a higher vibrational octave. So if something was your path, it can still be your path, but it will look very different. And I'm excited to share the purified versions of my teachings that will be coming through for the Mystery School, and that is the Mystery School for Priestesses. So it's a 33-day initiation process, and it's an initiation process through the purified consciousness of Isis. Now, I would love to go into some deeper understanding of that, yet it is not quite time. Yet if you are feeling in resonance of going through this purification process of the initiations into the priestess, this is not any of the teachings of Isis that is on the planet currently, because there was a consciousness shift within Isis consciousness that was necessary to clear the distortions of ancient Egypt, to clear the distortions of mankind, to clear the trauma and the ancestral pains of the prosecution wounds and the satanic imprints and all of the different things that have taken place in the consciousness that she is. And that took some time to do. And now that she's gone through her purification process, this information is ready to be tapped into from anyone who chooses to receive her in her purified expression. Yet sometimes there are, and this is what's beautiful about consciousness, is anyone can communicate with Yeshua, anyone can communicate with Mary Magdalene, and bring through that information and gift it. Yet we are all here with our own unique energetic signatures that we hold codes to that are like no other. And that is all I will say. So I hope everyone has a glorious and wonderful, beautiful Monday. I look forward to putting the link time to the transmission for the release of attachment to the energy blueprint. Niakia shatakiriana yatsuko satakoyandi bayariate tiakianda hata ikiata. Yum. I love you.